everyone. My name is Sophia Naureen Ahmad, and I'm here today with Lauren Wager, the creator of Palette Perfect Volume 2, a new book that's coming out on August 16th. So I wrote the foreword for the book. So Lauren, I wanted to ask you, can you share a little bit about how we met and how we know each other?
Yeah, so I found Sophia through Instagram, and I really liked her work. The way that she talks and writes about color really struck me, and I'm not the best, I don't feel, at writing. And so I saw her work and I noticed she's a color designer, a trend and forecast researcher, and I immediately reached out to her and we started talking, and then eventually I asked her if she would want to write the foreword to the book. And I'm excited to share that we love working with each other so much that we have another book that we're working on together, where she's doing the writing for the whole entire book. So
yeah, I still remember getting that email from you asking me to write the foreword. I was really excited because I've been following your work for a really long time.
Aw, thanks. Yeah, it's been a great connection, so I'm excited about it.
Yeah. Okay.
And you also have all your photographs in the introduction
cool
for the book as well.
It's funny because I've been taking pictures for a really long time, like kind of like you were saying, like, or we'll get more into this in the interview. You talked about how you have interest in photography, and like, I feel like I've been taking pictures, but with no specific idea of like how they would be used. But it's really cool that they're being used like years later in this book. I never really imagined that happening.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, I was first, when I saw your Instagram, I was like, oh my gosh, she just like gets it. She gets photography and color and everything. So I was really excited to find you.
First of all, congratulations on your new book. This is your second book, the follow-up to Palette Perfect Volume 1. So how would you say that Palette Perfect Volume 2 is different from the first book, and then also different from other books out there on color?
Well, it's different from the first book because the first book is by mood and emotion. So like there's chapters that are like solitude and fresh. And then this new book is broken up by season. So it's, summer, fall, winter, spring. And then within each season, we have three different sections. So it's classics, neutrals, and brights. And so there's also a different color palette format where the first one was like pie charts, split up by pie charts, and this one is, well, each season has a different shape. So we've got the circles here for that summer, the squares for fall, the diamonds for winter, and the triangles for spring. And then how it's different than other books out there on color, I would say, well, one, I feel like I don't see a lot broken up by season as far as color palette books go. So I feel like that could be really useful for designers. I know when I worked, at a larger company, we were always doing things by season. And so I think splitting it up by season makes a lot of sense for, larger corporations or designers, even small designers that are doing it by season, like fashion. I would also say that I think it's different than other color books out there because the way I curate the images in these books there's art and design, there's fashion, there's photography, there's just a lot of different genres out there that, like, I think it appeals to a larger audience. Like, it could be helpful for not only like fashion designers or graphic designers, but also like crafters, knitters, people that just want to be inspired by art. And they don't necessarily, there's numbers that go with them for like graphic designers. If they're building a website, they can pull the numbers off of the palettes. But if you were just, wanted to knit something, you could find a palette and just be inspired by the palette alone and not use the numbers. So I feel like it's helpful for just a larger audience.
Yeah, so you feel like your book is like an inspirational tool for all different types of artists and designers that might use color in their work.
Right.
So going back a little bit more into your experience, before the books, you were known for starting a blog called Color Collective. So can you share with us a little bit about how you started the blog, when you started it, and where were you at your life at the time, and how did the blog come about?
Okay. Yeah. So I was living in Portland, Oregon, and I was, at the time, I was out of college and I was working on freelance surface pattern designs for a small company. And I was having trouble finding color palettes for my work. And I realized that online there weren't a whole lot of options at the time. Like, this was back in 2009, 2010. And I feel like Pinterest was like brand new. So there weren't very many color options or blogs out there on color alone. And so I wanted to create something that would be a helpful tool for me to use for my own designs. And it just kind of turned into something bigger. But I was also shadowing or interning for Frolic blog. And that's by Chelsea Fuss. She's a prop and flower designer, prop and floral stylist, I would say. And she helped me a lot, like in the blog world, how to reach an audience, how to kind of view things in a different way, I guess I would say. So that was really helpful as well. She kind of got me into the blogging part. So I called it Color Collective because I've always been a collector. Like, ever since I was a kid, I've collected things. And so this to me was like a digital platform to like post my collection of colors and inspiration. And so that's why I called it Color Collective.
That's cool. I didn't realize that. So like, what kind of stuff have you collected over the years?
Rocks. I still have a rock collection.
Do you mean like polished gems, or like stuff that you find just out like on the beach? Both? Okay.
Yeah. What else? I've collected so many things. I don't know, stickers.
Yeah.
Still collect stickers. Old wrapping paper.
That's a cool one. Kind of like ephemera, I guess you could call it.
Yes.
I used to collect Pez dispensers.
Oh, me too. Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes. I still have a bin of Pez dispensers.
I do too. But
awesome.
What's bad is that I always would take them out of the packaging for some reason. So now they have no value.
Yeah, me too. Oh, and Pogs. Do you remember Pogs?
I do, yes.
I collected Pogs.
But Pogs never really grabbed me the way that Pez did. We should like compare Pez collections.
Yes, that would be awesome.
Great.
I've refined mine.
So
yeah.
I guess, when did you kind of know that you had hit on something that was like really resonating with people with the blog? I mean, I know you had help figuring it all out, but like, what was the first moment where you're like, I might be on to something here?
So I started posting my posts to Pinterest. I started copying them on Pinterest. And when I realized that when I typed color in Pinterest, it was all my posts. That was like how new Pinterest was, and like how there was nothing online other than my work. And so I was like, when I saw that, I was like, wow, like this is actually useful for people. People are actually, you could back then on Blogger, you could look at the stats, and I realized like a lot of people were looking at it. I got like an email from Jenna Lyons saying that she loved my blog.
Whoa.
I saved that email forever.
Jenna Lyons, formerly of J. Crew.
Yes. And then I got invited to go to like a fashion and beauty blog conference in New York. And at the time, that was like all the new bloggers, like Taylor Sterling from Glitter Guide, like she asked me to like work with her. We were friends, you know, at the beauty blog conference, and she asked me to work with her. I couldn't at the time because I needed to make money and I couldn't do it startup. But yeah, I mean, like all the beginning, the people that like originate, I feel like we're there, and it was really cool.
So basically, you've had your blog since 2010, and you've been posting consistently before social media kind of exploded into what it is now, where now everyone's a sort of content creator in one way or another. So from your perspective, what are some tips or advice that you might have for a creator, any creative person who wants to generate content in their own unique voice? And how do you keep doing that consistently?
That's a hard one because, like I said, at the time, it was so new, like the online, like the blogging and just coming up with these new ideas was fresh, you know, and now it's like so overflowing with, you know, online is just overflowing with content. So I think my best advice would be to just start finding something that you're passionate about and something that will help you with your own work, instead of just thinking like, I need to come up with an idea and I need to, you know, make myself famous doing it. Like, just do something for yourself, and then if it catches on, it catches on. But I think in order to get your unique voice, like you need to, you know, be inspired by find inspiration and then make a twist on that to make it your own. Like, find your inspiration, but find a way to, whether it's like the concept or the visual representation, find a way to make a twist on that to make it your own.
I think each of your palettes definitely has your signature or your twist on it. So we were just talking about summer colors. So even if you have a summer palette that's really like energetic and neon, it still feels like it's characteristic of you and your work. So do you have a philosophy to kind of summarize, like, how do you go about creating a palette? Is there a certain, obviously it's not a hard science, but is there a certain like process that you have that helps you create a palette that feels really balanced and harmonious to you?
I mean, I would say that I find like a lighter color, a medium hue, and then a dark one. And then that's how I create the balance, because I feel like in design and everything, like you need to support yourself with a lighter and a darker, and then you need a medium. And then I find the other two colors, just whatever they happen to pop out and be, like a pop of something usually.
So you start with a lighter color or you start with a darker color? Or does it just kind of depend?
It just depends.
So
but I usually try and make sure that there's a little bit of a difference in the tone.
Right. So if a color like really grabs you, like if you're just really drawn to something, then you'll kind of balance it out with other colors that kind of create like a harmonious effect around that color. Okay, yes. Got it. So it starts with one color. Okay, so you are a graphic designer by trade. I know you mentioned that you used to work as a surface pattern designer, but your start was in graphic design, is that right? Okay, so what drew you to that field, and is that something that you always imagined yourself doing when you were younger? Like, were you always into art and design?
So I was very into photography. And then in high school, I went to a career program for photography. So my junior and senior year of high school, half the day I was at a career program where I was only doing photography. And that is what got me into design. Like it was back in the day, you know, we were using film in the darkroom, but we were starting to do some digital work too. Like it was the very beginning, but using Photoshop, and And I found that I really liked design through that. And so I kind of wanted to explore both options in college, and I just went into the design field from there.
Well, that's interesting because I feel like photography is still such a huge part of your work, right? Like you still use it so much, and it's kind of like the starting point in a lot of ways. Which that's interesting how things can kind of come full circle that way. Like all of your interests have kind of conspired together to create.
Right, like the collections, the color, the photography. Yeah, it all kind of.
Yeah, and even like your background working as a surface pattern designer. I mean, you worked in the home industry, right? But I feel like a lot of your stuff is like related to interiors or like textiles or fashion. So it all kind of connects together.
Right. Yeah.
What are some of the challenges that you faced sharing creative work online or in your books for such a public audience? Meaning that I think it takes a certain amount of vulnerability to like put your work out there for people to see, and to do it for so long, like repeatedly, I think requires a lot of dedication. So how do you, what are some challenges that you've had, and like how have you dealt with some of those in the past?
I would say that I've always felt concern about, because I'm like curating images, that I felt like, oh, well, it's not my own work, you know. I didn't want to ever feel like I'm like ripping off anybody else's work. So crediting is always very important to me. I always want to make sure that like the original artist of the work is being credited. And yeah, I still have always just kind of felt like people are thinking like I'm ripping off their work, or, you know, they came up with the, you know, the palette originally because it's in their work. But then I realized like that, you know, art is everywhere and everything, and curating images and creating mood boards and pulling palettes is, you know, it's a talent, and it's creating something new on my own. And so I kind of just like realized that, you know, that was something that it wasn't like I was copying anybody. I'm crediting everybody. I'm just creating something new out of it to create a different kind of inspiration.
Right. And not to mention that working in any like creative field, or especially the design industry, it's very common for people to collect images and get inspired from, you know, different artists and designers. So I feel like that's a very like process that's like organic to creativity in general. So I feel like you just kind of invite people into that process.
Yeah.
And that's why like it's clear that like when something is coming from you, it's like you said, like you put your own twist on it. So it doesn't feel like, you know, you're just taking from here and there, but it's like you've created something new with it.
Yeah, I hope so.
So what is something that might surprise people about you or your work?
Well, I don't know if you could tell, but I think I lack confidence. I've had people ask like, oh, do you want to do this podcast? Do you want to, you know, come and teach this class? And I feel like I lack confidence. Like I have no speaking skills whatsoever. I'm much better like through email, where I can like think about what I'm saying, and, you know, delete things. But so when you asked me to do this interview, I was like very like, I don't know if I can do it, but I'm glad you did, because I want to, this is my first step to like push out of that and like have some more confidence and realize that like I do have something that people might be interested in hearing. So I would say that if they might be surprised that like I just sometimes feel like I don't know what I'm doing, but I don't know.
Maybe it's not lack of confidence, but maybe just like shyness, like being in front of people and like talking openly. But I feel like it's just like a matter of like putting yourself out there, and like the more you do it, the easier it will get, I think.
Yeah.
And you're doing a great job so far.
Well, thank you.
So what excites you most about the creative process of working with color? Like what is really inspiring to you about color?
I mean, I think again, it's like the passion part of things, you know. My favorite part when I'm doing designs and when I'm, you know, working on graphics or products is choosing the color palette. So I would say that that's my favorite part. And colors can influence, everything about the design, can change everything. You can create different moods, create different vibes and seasons and feelings with the colors that you choose.
So basically, no matter what type of creative project you're working on, you always start with color as a sort of jumping off point. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I actually relate to that too. I feel like with everything I've done, I've always started with color. Like that's been kind of like my window into different types of, I guess, mediums like photography,
Right.
drawing, or collage, or anything. It always starts with color, I feel.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So actually, I did want to ask you now, because you've had all these different experiences, would you identify primarily as a colorist or a color specialist? Or do you still feel like you're a designer at heart? What comes first in your mind?
I would like to say color specialist. I mean, I don't know. That's a good question. I'm probably always a designer. I'm like a curator, like that's what I feel like I am. I'm a curator. Like
or a collector.
Yes.
Okay.
That's where it all stems. Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. All right. And so to wrap it all up, I'm going to ask you, obviously I have to ask you, what's your favorite color?
Okay. Yeah. So I wore the shirt because right now this is my favorite color. So it would be like what? A lime? Faded lime?
Yeah, to me, I was almost going to say celery, but I feel like maybe it just looks that way on the camera.
Yeah, it's a little, in real life, I feel like it's not quite as bright. It's more like a faded lime.
Okay, so a faded lime.
But I would say of all time, like this is my this summer color. But of all time, I always love green. Green is my favorite color. So olive green and blush pink, I feel like are my two all-time favorites.
Wow, for some reason I never would have guessed that.
Really? What would you think?
I mean, blush pink, yes, definitely. But I don't know why I just never would have thought green. But yeah, that's so interesting.
What's your favorite color?
It's changed over the years, but I keep coming back to lavender.
That's pretty.
And people have actually told me that my aura is purple.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know if that has any merit, but
there's this new spa that's around the corner and they take a picture and like you can see the colors of your aura. I really want to do that.
Yeah, actually there's a jewelry store in Chinatown in New York called Magic Jewelry where they're like known for taking these like aura portraits. So I got one done a few years ago and mine was like dark purple.
Really? What does that mean?
And my friend's was yellow, like bright yellow. So like, yeah, it's definitely picking up on something. I don't know if I really believe in that, but it's more just like for fun. Yeah.
I think I believe in it.
Oh, do you? Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like people pick up on stuff. Do you think your aura is green?
I don't know. I'm gonna find out though. I'm gonna do it.
Are your eyes green, by the way, or are they more blue?
They're like hazel. I'd say they're green.
Interesting. Okay. Great. Well, this has been great.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. It was so great talking to you, and I'm excited to keep working with you in the future.
Yeah, me too. You've been awesome to work with.